Yeah.
I will oblige that request.
Okay, so what does that exactly mean?
She just asked me what the lube does. Alright. So I prefer to lube up the key and then just take the key and slide it in so that it touches all the pins. Because really...
Have you been watching my porn again, Dave?
Because it's very rude to lube the key without lube the lock without letting it know. Okay, so you just take it, pull it out. You want to try it? We're probably having a really bad thing because I'm touching it.
Okay.
I'm no good with my hands. Go ahead. You just touch it. Ah, let go. So you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Almost getting it.
Okay.
No? Ah,
Just information.
no. I think you're doing it a little too early. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll give you a lock that I know you can bump, but you gotta wait 5 minutes, okay? Okay. Okay, so in all our normal examples we pulled out, and Lorraine unfortunately is not very good with the pull-out method.
How right am I?
But they improved upon this, makes it even easier against some locks. What's funny is that against better locks, it's actually more effective because the engineering is such that the pins in the chambers don't rattle around, they don't move around. They're engineered very well, but that makes them easier to bump because the transfer of energy is much cleaner. So we have minimal movement bumping, and so normally it's like this, the key, and you can't push it in anymore. So I should probably do this. What you do is you shave off those 2 points, the tip and the shoulder. This piece over here is called the shoulder. Oh, okay. I thought we were done. You just shave off those, and what you could do now is that you could push the lock in a little bit more. So I have a minimal movement key, and I know she'll be able to bump this because this doesn't require the coordination between hitting and touching.
I'm uncomfortable.
I'm saying it's easier. That's what I'm saying. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so all you do is hit it, same thing, boom. As I storm into your data center to steal all your servers. So with this method, all she has to do is take it, and I put it in the lock for her, which is not cheating or coercion or collusion in any way. And so you can see you could push this in just a little bit, and it'll give that spring to it. So all you have to do is touch it right here, hit it until it turns.
Okay.
You'll feel it definitely. Keep hitting it. A little harder.
Oh. Watch out for your fingers.
You sure it's not open?
Ah, there we go. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this has been limited to... Motherfucker, this key's about to break. That key's about to break, which we'll go into in a second. This has been limited to two locks. So am I just fucking around? We'll take our key from our first example, the non-minimal movement, and we will move it to... I don't even know if I have another... Move it to... Which one? No, that has no pins in it.
Is that the one from my front door?
It may have been from your front door at one point. We won't get into that. So we'll just take it. This lock might be broken for all I know.
How much longer do you think it'll take?
Give me 10 minutes. We're just going to run through a bunch of slides because they're short on time. Okay. So interesting things that happen when you're bumping locks. They said you need to be very precise when you cut the keys. You need to do all this stuff. You need to cut it, exact. You need to have the right keys. I've already hopefully shown you the light on some of those. As far as cutting the keys right, the keys self-adjust themselves the more you bump them. The more the key's made out of very soft material so that it can be easily cut. The lock's not. The pins in the lock are not, because they don't want you to just be able to hammer them and break the lock. The bump keys self-adjust to the pins, and in the example you see the dent right here from repeated bumping, and that'll align the bump key properly so that it becomes easier to bump. And again, also right here, you can't see it very well, but it's kind of flattened the shoulder of the lock so that it could go in just a bit more than it needs to. So that's an interesting thing. So you don't need to make them exact. Some of my keys are really gnarly looking. Either they've been hit so many times, I just suck at filing. But it's not hard, and it doesn't require any sort of precision other than getting them low enough in the first place to actually bump them. Too much force. And what I noticed last night while I was working with the new hammer is that one of my master lock bump keys is starting to snap. That's M's doing right there, actually. I was like, dude, stop hitting it! Yeah. And yeah, so you don't need very much force. If anybody does martial arts, you'll know that for knockout stuff, all you want to do is punch and release as fast as possible so that the energy transfer doesn't come back to your hand. Yeah, that's right. I dropped the physics. So it's very little, like not, feather taps, but hit it hard enough, but not hard enough that you're hurting the bump hammer or whatever you're hitting with, and the lock and the key. So hitting it too hard causes bumping to be noticeable. Deformations can occur, and it's caused by the shoulder, as one of you were asking. Caused by the shoulder, it'll hit against the face of the lock, and it'll cause damage. There's this, and it's called the glue gun shoulder. And there's a picture of one of my locks that's been beat the hell out of. You can see not only is there damage right here, but there's also damage here because people didn't file off the bottom as well. Of course, symmetrical is where it's at. Some people don't know this, apparently. But that lock is still bumpable. A little noticeable. So now I'm sure you're all going to run to your house and work and look for, dents right there, which may occur from normal usage. Oh, every time you want to open the door. When you go for the porn collection, you just really... So glue gun shoulders, all you do is take everybody know what a glue gun is? It's glue that gets hot. Or it's a glue stick that gets hot and turns into glue. It's in a gun. And it shoots out. It's phenomenal. All you do is cut it in half and melt it so that it acts as the shoulder of your lock. And you'll bump, and it'll hit the glue gun shoulder, and the glue gun shoulder is not going to hurt the lock because it's very soft material. It'll also allow the lock to go in a little bit more because it gives, and it won't damage the key, won't damage the lock. Very, very efficient way of mitigating damage through bumping, keeping it more anonymous. Should bumping scare you? Yeah. Do I really need to get into the rest? Easy to find keys, easy to do. I have like 5 locks on this table that actually protect against bumping. If you go out and just go out in the street, start looking at locks, most of them won't protect at all. They'll protect against picking, but not bumping. And that makes it a huge threat when all the locks people can buy at Home Depot, and as well as the fact that people just buy the cheapest lock, the fact that all of those are not bump resistant and easily open in seconds creates a huge security problem. And it's not like the software world where they can just patch it, because now there's hundreds of thousands of millions of locks in circulation that just get rocked easily. There's also problems with insurance. If your insurance company can blame you, they have no burglary protection. Like I go and I bump your door lock and I steal all your shit. How are they going to know that you just weren't negligent and left the door open, left the door unlocked, whatever? Yes, sir. Yeah, so that was my advice. I don't advocate burglary, but if you're going to burglarize stuff, make sure you break shit so that the people get off at least. That's just common courtesy. Yeah. But a lot of people get confused when I do talks. I don't advocate this stuff. I do this stuff for fun, and so should you. And if you're criminals, I don't know you. Yeah. And I'm not responsible for any of your actions. Defending against bumping. I'm going to have to run through this real quick because I told them 10 minutes ago, and I feel like an asshole. But it is the last talk. We're not doing too bad. Dinner? Hey, steak. So there's three things. I went limp.
It's not excited about this talking.
Fuck, even the microphone's getting sleepy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
So there's three things that pretty much defend against bumping in general. The sidebars, when implemented correctly, with the case of the A-03.avi, all you need is that same sidebar. You just buy the lock that has the same sidebar, and you file down the rest of the key, and bam, the sidebar works as designed, and all the pins, the rest of the pins, the normal pins, are bumped, and the lock's open. And this was a huge problem for ASA because they'd been seen as this, impenetrable company up until then. There's also trap pins, which are these pins on the side. And what happens is you have the key, and it works like this. So when you pass over that trap pin space, the lower pin is held up by the key, so nothing's falling into the keyway. But when you bump or pick it, it'll fall in. What's the problem with that? Lock's fucked. You have to drill the lock to get that out. There's no known way to get that out. So obviously we don't want to go around having to replace every single lock whenever it gets bumped or picked or otherwise screwed up. So that's not exactly the most elegant solution. The elegant solution is shadow drilling. In a normal lock, the chambers are all drilled down to the same depth. But what if we did that? Now your bump key cut to the lowest depths will not touch that one. And assuming they don't do something stupid like the sidebar and make it so that that same chamber is drilled to that same depth for every kind of lock like that, as long as they randomize it, it'll be a very effective way of defending against bumping. And in some cases it defends against because that other pin will be so high up that it might be hard to get to with a pick. But that's the general reason for this, is to deter bumping. And I think at present only a few European companies do this. No American companies do this for the minimal cost that it'd take. I mean, even these master locks, for the minimal cost to put security pins, they don't do it because over, that 1 penny per lock over millions of locks is a lot of money to them. They don't want to do that. And what do they care if your house gets busted into? So shadow drilling, that's an example. Your bump key's not touching that lower one, so you're not going to be able to open that lock. And it's a very good solution. So legal issues. People say, is it legal to own a lock set? Depending on where you live, yes. In California, you can buy all the lock crap you want. A lot of the lock people are trying to get bump keys made illegal. And that's logical because there's no practical reason for a bump key. It's not like a key, like you just get a copy of the key. So that might go into effect, depending on what happens in the next few months, year, 2 years. But it has been coming into the media's eye a lot with my talk, Mark Tobias's talk at DEF CON. Again, this talk, I'm sure I'll get a few emails again. So it's legal to purchase as far as California is concerned, and it's legal to own. If you're out behind the 7-Eleven trying to bump the lock and a cop comes up, he's going to let you off the hook. That's going to be bad, and they're gonna know one way or another you're trying to force entry into there. So intent is the big thing. As long as you're not intending to break into things and you're just doing it in the privacy of your own home for hobby purposes, it's not going to be a big problem. And if you live in a state where possession of lock tools is a problem, if you qualify for one of these 5 things, you will generally be eligible to own them. And some of you might be some of these things. Generally, you could still